Today we're going to look at question 2 from the 2015 free response exam. It's hidden word. So please go to my course website, and I put a link in the description, and we're going to get 2 files. So first one we're going to get is the CSA 2015 PDF, and then the other one is question 2, which is hidden.zip. So once you downloaded those 2 files, let's go ahead and take a look at the question. Okay, so here's question 2, and I want you guys to read through this on your own and make sure you understand it. But for the most part, this question has you guys read a class that simulates a word guessing game. So there's a word that's hidden from the player. What the player needs to do is type in a guess that gets given to the .getHint method. And the program will tell you if what letters in that guess are correct. So if it's correct, then it returns that letter in the right position. If you type in a letter and it's somewhere in there but not quite at that position, then you get a plus at that letter. And then if it's not in there at all, you get an asterisk. So it sounds confusing. It sounds like there's a lot going on there, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and look at the code. Okay, I've got my BlueJ project folder open. I've opened up the hiddenword.java file. So it's where we have to write a class. So there's really not much framework code. You actually have to supply the entire program yourself. Okay, so with classes, what's the first thing you have to do? Well, you have to create a private instance variable. So let me go ahead and do that. So private string, and the only instance variable we really have to worry about here is the hidden word itself. So I'll call it concealed. Okay. So the next thing is the constructor. So that's pretty straightforward. It's just public, and then the name of it, which is hidden word. So this is going to take in a single parameter. So I guess I'll call it C. And then, we just set our private instance variable to that. So concealed gets C. All right, the next step is we have to write this getHint method. So look at the question. It says here, we've got this .getHint, and it takes in a single parameter. I guess I could call it guess. So let me go ahead and do that. So public, it returns a string, getHint, and then it takes in a single parameter. So I guess I'll call it guess. All right, the first thing I need to do here is I need to create a result string. So let me go ahead and do that first. So string result gets the empty string. Okay, next thing is I'm going to have to loop across the word. Now, it seems to be that the 2 words are going to have to be the same length. I don't have to do any checking for that. I can just assume that the player types in the word, which is the same length. So I'm just going to loop across guess. Okay, I'll use a for loop to do it. So for int guy gets 0, I less than guess.length, I plus plus. All right, so it makes things easy. Now, next thing is I need to pull out individual letters. So I need to pull out a letter from this concealed, and then I need to pull out a letter from guess, and I need to compare them. So let me go ahead and make 2 variables. So string, I guess chunk would work, gets concealed, that's substring, and we're just going from I to I plus 1. Okay, that gets me the letter from the concealed word. So next I need to get a letter from the guess. I guess, what can I call it? Maybe nugget. Guess.substring. And then same thing, I plus 1. Okay, so I've got my loop set up right. I've got 2 letters coming out. Now, the next thing is I need to compare the 2 letters. So I can just say, all right, well, if the letter from concealed is equal to the letter from nugget, that means the letter just gets put right into the result string. So let me just make a conditional here. So if chunk dot equals, nugget, so if at that index the two letters are the same, we can say, all right, well, let me just put that into result. So we just do result plus equals, and if they're equal, so I can just put whatever one I want. It doesn't really matter if you put the chunk or the nugget in there. So I'll just put in the chunk because it's first. It makes it, it's easy. All right, what comes next? Well, this is where it gets a little tricky, because now you have to say, all right, let me just go back to the question. If the letter happens to be in there but not at that position, at some other position, you need to put in a plus. So how do you do that? How do you, determine if the letter is in the concealed word but just somewhere else? Turns out there's a method you can use that will take care of this. It is called the index of method. So let me expand out this conditional here and say, all right, well, else if, concealed has a letter, that nugget letter somewhere in there, but just not at that position. So you could say something like this: concealed dot index of, right? And you give it that, that letter from the guess, which we called nugget. Right, so what index of does, it says, find me the position of that letter within this string. So find me, the position, the index where nugget is in concealed. So it's a little bit subtle here because we don't really care about where that index is. We only care about, is it in there or not? Turns out, if nugget is not within the concealed string, this will return a -1. So we can use that to our advantage. You can say, all right, well, if it's not equal to -1, therefore it must be in there somewhere. So that's exactly what we're looking for. That's exactly what we want. Right? So if that's the case, if we look for the letter nugget within this concealed string and we don't get a -1, that tells us it's in there somewhere. Okay, we don't really care where it is exactly. We don't really care about the particular index. Just that it's in there and somewhere. So that means we can tack on the plus, right? So result plus equals, and then we can tack on our plus sign, that result string. Okay, and then the last bit is actually pretty easy because we just have to consider the case where the letter's not in the concealed string at all. So if these two conditions, don't go through, then we can determine that, all right, well, the letter must not be in there at all. So we can say, all right, well, else, and then I think I remember from the question, the letter's not in there, then we just put in an asterisk. So result plus equals, and then we have an asterisk. Okay, so it's a pretty straightforward question. I think the only tricky part might have been this dot index of method that you needed to use. Okay, so last bit is I need to return the results. So let me go ahead and do that. So just down here, say return results. So don't forget to do that. And we're essentially done. So let me hit compile. Okay, that seems to work. Compile here. So let me run the test. And I think this is coming out right. There's my result. Let me just compare it to the question. So I should get this coming out. There we go. Yeah, so I do get, the plus A plus plus plus, and then the H star star star, then the H star plus plus star, harp star S, and then harps. So it looks like this did work out. Okay, there's one more step. I do have the JUnit test bench here. So let me go ahead and run that and see what we get. Okay, so we get 10 green checks. That tells me my code is fine. Okay, so that concludes the 2015 question 2 hidden word. It is complete. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.